Alrighty, so time to get down to exponents. Part of the reason I like teaching this unit is that now when we talk about order of operations, it's always parentheses, exponents. Well, now we're going to have that part. So it's getting a little more algebra here. So as a reminder, base is the big number, exponent's the one that's raised there. Power is the whole thing together. And again, 2 to the 6 means 2. Doesn't mean 2 times 6, so it's not 12. It's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 6 times, which is 64. So that's the final value of the expression there. The way we say it, like 12 to the first power. By the way, if there's nothing written there, we assume first power, right? 6 squared, or 6 to the second power. This is 2/10 to the third power, or 2/10 cubed. Other things to remember here having to do with negatives and that sort of thing. Now, I know this is something we've discussed before, just to make sure we've got that down. If we have, this is important, the difference between two things here. If I have -7 with parentheses squared, that's -7 times -7. But if I have -7 squared, notice no parentheses around it. The negative is applied after. So that's negative, technically 1 times 7 squared, or -1 times 7 times 7. So this one, let me get this out of the way here real quick. This one right here yields a positive, right? Positive 49, because negative times negative is positive. This one yields a negative 49 because it's 7 times 7, and throw that negative back on afterwards. The only time it really makes a difference between the parentheses and not parentheses is when it's an even numbered power, like 2, 4, 6, 8. If it's odd, it doesn't make a difference in that case. But again, important to remember whether or not the negative is squared along with it. Alrighty, so an example here from me, write the expression using an exponent. So if I have -5, -5, -5, notice the parentheses, right? Even if you didn't have the parentheses, if I just wrote -5 times -5 times -5, you would have to include the parentheses to make sure that that -5, the whole thing, including the negative, gets cubed. Now, obviously, we can include variables. -2 times ABAA. So the -2, nobody else to pair with it because there's only one -2. There are 1, 2, 3 A's, so A cubed, and a single B, so B to the first power, or just don't write anything there. Pause here. You might want to write down where you're at in the video as far as time-wise goes. Head into class kick and work a couple. So you should have already worked these in class kick. So here we have 6 times 6 times 6, or 6 to the third power. And then for B, 4, and notice there's 2 y's, so y squared, x. Or you could write it 4xy squared. Technically, that's more correct because we look for alphabetical order, then descending variables. Or, I'm sorry, descending exponents. Go ahead and continue the video for another example from me. Continue with simplifying a power. A microscope could magnify a specimen 10 to the third times. How many times is that? Well, again, 10 to the third means 10 times 10 times 10. It's not 10 times 3. And we all know 10 times 10 is 100, times another 10 makes 1,000. So it can magnify 1,000 times. Go ahead and pause, head into class kick. Again, write down the time maybe so you know where to come back to. All right. A little bit of simplification here. 7 squared, that just means 7 times 7, which is 49. Part B says to evaluate, and it gives us 2 different ones. Notice that this one, the negative is on the outside. It's not being forced. The negative is not being to the is not to the fourth power. That's what I'm trying to spit out here. This one, though, the negative goes with it. So we're going to evaluate -2, right, to the fourth power versus -2 to the fourth power. The negative goes with it. So here we have technically negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. So it becomes negative 16. Over here it's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Whoops, that's a 2, I promise. Notice negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4 times another negative 2. So if I were to write that, I'd go 4 times negative 2 times negative 2. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So negative 8 times negative 2. Negative 8 times negative 2 is positive 16. So notice the difference there. Again, that parentheses makes a huge difference in how the answer comes out. Would you rather have $16 or negative $16, right? One, you owe me money. Go and continue for more examples from me. Here's the bulk of what we're going to spend the next couple days doing after today is on order of operations. Because it's algebra. It's important. So when I see a problem like this, I need to work on the inside first. You don't go throwing squares around. So you take your 3.7, so 3 7/10, plus 2, add them together to get 5.7. That then gets squared. And ones like this, I'll let you use a calculator if you need to. So 5.7 times 5.7 is 32.49. Bring down the multiplied by 4. 4 times 32.49 is 129.96. So again, a little order of operations fun there. Now when I say evaluate, all I'm looking for is for you to take this 2 and plug it in everywhere you see an X. Y everywhere, put a 3 everywhere you see a Y. So notice here, I substituted. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. By the way, 4 times 3 is 12. I do expect that you can add integers. I mean, this is not a surprise here. Negative 16, positive 12 is certainly a negative 4. Again, that's a skill I expect you have by now. Go ahead and pause, head into class kick. Again, write down what time you're out on here maybe, and then come back. Alrighty, so last slide for today's lesson. We're going to simplify. So let's do that here. 2 times 5 squared plus 4 times negative 3 to the third power. So we've got to think to ourselves, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract, right? So let's start out here with, I'm going to recopy it. So we have 2 times 5 squared plus 4 times negative 3. Notice the negatives inside parentheses, cubed. So let's start. We need to deal with those exponents. Yes, I know that times, there are negative 3's in parentheses, but there's no operations inside of there. So let's deal with the exponents. Clean those up. So 2 times 5 squared is 25 plus 4 times, so negative 3 squared, it means negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So this one's going to be a negative 27. There we go. Alrighty. So now let's go back, and so we're done with parentheses and done with exponents. So let's go back and talk about multiplication over division, or I'm sorry, multiplication over addition rather. So in the front, 2 times 25 is 50 plus, and we have 4 times negative 27. And that's negative 108. And again, you can grab a calculator if you want to try to check these. Now I have positive 50 plus negative 108, ninja battle, negative 58, negative 58, there we go, is our answer. All right, and B, 3a squared plus 6, and a is negative 5. Now I got to show you a trick here. I'm going to switch colors, by the way. There we go. So 3, now a is negative 5. So I have to put the negative 5 inside of parentheses to protect the negative, plus 6. All righty? So, let's see, no operations inside of parentheses, but I do have an exponent. Negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25, right? So 3 times 25 plus 6. 3 times 25 is 75 plus 6, which is a lovely 81. All right. And again, if you needed me to go over any of those with you again, please do raise your hand in the app or in real life, whatever. So.